Hey, inebriates, before we get into today's podcast, I just want to give a shout out to today's sponsors. Sponsors make this podcast happen, and, without them, we wouldn't be here. So we just want to say thank you to them. And this episode is presented by Wild CBD. Wild produces the best tasting edibles on the market using real fruit and all natural flavoring, with flavors inspired by the Pacific Northwest, high quality ingredients, real fruit, and consistent dosing. Wild has become one of the leading cannabis edible producers in the country. Wild's new CBD line currently offers real fruit-infused gummies in blackberry, huckleberry, lemon, and raspberry, and CBD-infused sparkling water in raspberry, lemon, blackberry, and blood orange. Blood orange, I love that flavor. So each gummy is dosed with 25 milligrams of CBD and can be purchased in a bottle of 10 or 20. Wild CBD is offering our listeners 30% off their next purchase from wildcbd.com. That's WYLDCBD.com by using the code POD. That's code POD for 30% off your next purchase. Wild CBD products are intended only for the use of individuals age 18 and older. Wild CBD products should only be consumed as directed on the label and should not be used if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. All Wild CBD products are made with ingredients containing 0% THC. Consult with a health professional prior to using Wild CBD in combination with any medications or other dietary supplements. And our second sponsor for today is our good friends at Pretentious Pickles right here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Pretentious Pickles. Damn it, man. They pickle everything. No matter what kind of vegetable you like, they pickle it. And beyond vegetables, they even do things like cranberries. It's all delicious. It's all hand cut and prepared right here in Plymouth, Massachusetts. They make just the best stuff. They have a store here locally, or you can go to pretentiouspickles.com and place your order online. And they're located at 190 Water Street in Plymouth, Mass. And make sure you check them out. I gotta say, man, I'm a big pickle fan, and their product is just fantastic. So thank you again to both Wild CBD and Pretentious Pickles. And now we're going to jump right into the podcast. Welcome back to the Bar Talk Podcast. I am Andy of Inebria. I feel like we're out of practice here. A little bit?
It feels awkward. Like
right.
First day of school awkward.
Yeah.
Like, hi, guys.
So
first day of virtual school awkward.
Yeah,
yep.
True.
But we're not virtual. We're actually recording in person again, and we have the core group back together, which we haven't done in a long time without like 9 other people. And we're here with Karl Heine of the New World Tavern and the Munchie Mobile.
Hello, everybody.
Dan Mahoney of Stats in South Boston.
What's up?
And Jordan Jabot of the Speedwell Tavern.
Yo.
So we were talking about what we wanted to talk about, and we want to keep it mostly positive, but we kind of want to, address the elephant in the room. It's getting cold. Was there like a week or 2 left of the outdoor seating?
No, they got it till December 1st.
Oh, it's till December 1st?
Yep,
oh,
another
okay.
month. I don't know who's going to be sitting out there.
It's going to be goddamn cold out there. So we're heading into winter. The normal festivities are going to be kind of downplayed, if happening at all. So what are we going to be doing this winter, guys? Like, what's the plan? What do you foresee? We talked about there's going to be no Thanksgiving Day parade. There's going to be no Winterfest. There's probably going to be no tree lighting.
No, they might do the tree lighting, but I don't think anyone's going to be allowed to be there.
They'll definitely turn it on.
Yeah,
but
right.
All through a webcam.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. It takes 3 weeks to turn those things on. I haven't seen anybody working on them.
Right. That's true.
And usually they have it up and running.
But that's because they want it up for the parade. And
well,
there's no parade, so
right.
They're on their own time, Karl.
Right.
So for our listeners that don't know, Parade Day is like one of the biggest days in Plymouth. It's the Thanksgiving Day parade. second biggest in the country. Does that sound right?
Yeah, to the Macy's.
Yeah.
Parade
That's what the homeless guy outside told me.
And it's one of my favorite days because it starts early. You can get a beverage with your breakfast and then hang out and bounce around town, and it's all sorts of events and stuff going on. Karl usually have live music like all day.
I hate it. It's up there with St. Patrick's Day as one of my least.
But don't you love it the next day when you're counting
love
the
it
receipts?
when you look in the bank account.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like I have.
So are you happy that it's not happening this year?
No, because I'm not.
Apparently you don't hate it that much, Jordan.
No, I hate it. I hate it personally, but I know it makes a lot of people happy, so I'm not going to be like a big fucking Scrooge. But it's a lot. It's a stressful day. People, when they're drinking, like you, who start with their breakfast and start drinking
At
by
9
the
a.m.
time you.
Yeah, but I'm a professional.
It's all
That's what
pub
other
crawls.
lightweights say.
Inebriated.
Yeah.
It's all pub crawls. People go around, so it's all that business that we're actually losing. So there's no way that we can make up for lost revenue that hasn't even happened yet, only because they're canceling all the festivities around that time.
And even if they had it, you wouldn't be able to do it the same way.
Well, that's what I mean. With COVID now, you just can't do it. So you can't fill up your restaurant. Standing room only.
You can't pub crawl.
Yep, you can't pub crawl.
I think it's different for Karl because he opens up for breakfast. I'm doing regular hours. I don't have the capacity to do breakfast. I have a small kitchen, so like it's not much more beneficial of a day for me than a typical Saturday. You know what I mean? So that's why I think I'm just like, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? And now it's just another normal Saturday. Normal.
And if I do 1/3 the business I did last year on that same day, I'll be thrilled.
Yeah, same.
And that's 1/3.
I'll take that. Even half. Half. I think we can do half. And
I won't. I won't be able to do a third. If I do a third, I'll be thrilled.
yeah. So you had that good of a day, huh?
Well, it's the biggest day of the year.
Yeah.
It's bigger than St. Patrick's Day.
Plus, Karl has one of the bigger spots in town, so you can fit a lot more parade
It's a
people
bigger
out there.
spot. His windows open up right onto Main Street, so the parade. If you get here early, you can snag a table and just watch from the table.
True.
True.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just not. That's why I'm so Scroogey, because it's just like another day.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
Well,
Anytime
You got to get in 2 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Because you can't park down here.
And it's one of those
my
times,
staff's
we don't have lines a lot, but it's one of those days you have a line out the door waiting to get in, and it's always that, hey, I know the owner. Hey, can you get me in? I'm busy in here working. What are you texting me for? I'm not going to see my phone for 4 hours.
We're getting ready for the biggest day of the year.
And then they text me again. Are you getting my texts?
Oh.
I don't know if
How
your
about waiting in
phone's
line?
broken, Karl.
So,
Sorry.
It's like I know the owner, Saul. Saul? His name's Saul. Yeah.
It was the best. I worked the door at BBC the last couple parades I was down here for, and they would do the same thing. I'm like, well, you clearly don't know the manager because I'm that guy.
Right.
So,
Is that really like that common of a thing where people?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some people will name drop without knowing anybody, and they won't even drop the names. They'll just say,
just go
"Oh
drop-
yeah, I'm real, good friends with the owner. Or the
Jared.
manager told me that I should come to the front of the line." Oh, they'll lie to do anything to get in.
I had a story.
They'll try to tip out the door guy $20 or
It's like a strip club.
$30 to get in.
Night
Yeah.
at Roxbury.
Well, I'll tell you a story that allowed my family to skip the line one time. This is a great story.
Is it a long story?
No,
Okay,
maybe you'll consider it a long story. So this
already-
was before East Bay was McGrath's, and so I don't know, like 10, and it was I had family come up from Texas, and there was like going to be like a big family reunion. So it was a big party, and McGrath's was like packed, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be an hour wait." My uncle went up, talked to the hostess. Within like 10 minutes, we got a table. So we're like, "What the fuck did you say?" He points at my father and he goes, "I told him we had him out of the mental institution. We had to have him back by 9."
Oh, that's a move.
So then for the rest of the night, we're like, "Should he have a knife? Take his knife away." Yeah, do you need to cut his steak for him? Oh, it was amazing.
I'm doing that the next time we go with Karl. They'll believe it.
It is very
Yeah, 'cause
believable.
we go to all the nice places.
Maybe we should.
Let's just say the places that will go, we will. But no, I'm gonna miss the volume for the holidays. I mean, even around Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, you'd be packed every day because everybody's got that week off.
Yep.
What about
And I'll be
Christmas
full.
parties?
I'll be full, but I
Yeah.
just won't have it. Yeah,
Yeah.
with no Christmas parties, no nothing on the back.
I loved December.
No big bands.
December's my favorite month for business because everyone seems to be in pretty good moods. You know, the vibe in Speedwell, like it's Like we got the Christmas lights up, and it just always feels cozy and warm in there. And like my waitresses make all their money they need for their Christmas shopping.
Yep.
You know, the kitchen guys are all in good moods. We throw our party, and usually either here at New World or we're at Pins before, like a month later, and kind of blow off some steam as we go into the slower season. And it's going to feel different this year because that coziness, that social atmosphere, that sort of tidings and cheer that everybody has for that month, it's going to. Not only are you not going to physically be able to put people in your restaurant the same way, but people's moods are going to be different too, I think. It's not going to be that same. People are going to be stressed about Christmas more than ever, I think, this year because you can't do the shit that you wanted to before.
You can't see the family that you want to see. You can't hang around
travel,
with all your friends.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it sucks. It's real unfortunate, wham. But, I mean, if we've learned anything through this, I think people will adapt and find ways to kind of make it legit too. You know what I mean? And you'll see a lot more, I think, giving and charity and stuff like that instead of people throwing big bangers and Christmas parties and just getting fucked up. People are going to find other ways. At least I'm hoping, you know.
I think people are going to donate less, and it's not in their mind anymore to do it. Where before you'd go out shopping and you get in the Christmas spirit. Now nobody has it, so nobody's giving.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, you're going to get that because people are going to be worried about if they're not working again.
Right?
Yeah, so. I mean, for someone who's been unemployed now for 8 months, it's. Things, still getting by, but it's like come Christmas time, it's like, okay,
yeah,
it's gonna be tight.
Yeah, kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah.
To my family. And we did that last year before COVID too. You know what I mean? But
that's because you're cheap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sleeping at my in-laws right now. Just it's going to be a different vibe. It's hard to say it won't. Something positive I'm looking forward to, not really necessarily holiday related, is people aren't going to be grilling outside anymore. The waterfront's going to slow down, so I think takeout's going to fucking fly. You know what I mean?
Crank back up.
Yeah, I think takeout will crank back up quite a bit. And
the craft beer cellar, we've already seen like a huge uptick in the weekends.
Huge, awesome.
That's I mean, it went from hey, this is okay to me having to text Ted and be like, yeah, that thing you asked me to get done isn't done.
Right.
Because I just didn't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people, now that the weather's turning, people aren't, no offense, guys, but sitting outside. So they're like, well, I'm going to get to go and some beers and go home. Because people feel more comfortable. There's still people that don't want to.
But you never know. I mean, by Thanksgiving, this might be all over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Elections in a week. You know. Apparently, magically, once the votes are cast.
I have
for those people that haven't voted, if you want to write my name in, feel free.
I would.
Supreme Wizard, Karl Heine.
We always have an ass in office. Might as well have a Heine.
that was freaking long.
Great. All right, let's go to the question.
Oh, you want to go to question?
I'll tell you right now.
Jeez. That was pretty damn good.
I was trying to be your campaign manager, Karl. Take it so personal.
Well, I feel like there's a couple years ago that Tatum made campaign signs for you, Karl.
Oh, that was the graphic designer I work with.
Wait, what?
That was the graphic designer I work with.
Yeah. I remember you sent them around. So I forget what your slogan was, but it was
something similar to that. I think. That was fun.
All right, first question.
Sorry, I was distracted. All right, this was from Ron Granger. How many ounces or what size serving do you give of pasta noodles? Not the amount of meat and sauce, just the noodles. Curious what portion size other people use.
Whole box.
Who the fuck is weighing
Easy
pasta
Mac.
noodle?
You give them to the bowl is where you want it to be filled to.
Yeah, that seems kind of like overthinking the process.
Yeah. How much pasta do you want? There you go. Answer. Done. I mean, if you're weighing pasta, I don't know what kind of restaurant this person is. Maybe they're just sitting at home and wondering how much pasta they want.
All of
I don't even know if they got work at a restaurant.
Trying to recreate the endless
He's just
possibles
he's
and all
sitting
that.
in his kitchen in his pajamas, like scratching his head. Like maybe the bar talk people will know how much pasta I should make
Maybe
today.
he's making spaghetti in his bathtub, and that's why he's trying to figure it out.
How do you boil water in your
Listen,
bathtub?
I don't know. This is not me. This is this guy. I'm just trying to figure out why the fuck he needs to know.
But I
this
feel
thing.
like that's what you over serve because it's cheap.
Yeah, no,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
It's a filler, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. When we used to do the buffet, I worked in a place that did a lot of buffets. You always put pasta first in the line. So people would fill their plate up with that first and have less surface area on their plate. By the time they got to lobster Newburg and the prime rib, they're like, fuck, I have no way to put it.
Yep.
Bingo. You're
Yep.
paying for the same amount for your plate either way.
When I worked at Olive Garden many moons ago, the endless pasta bowl thing was the worst day to ever work because you
Wednesdays.
would do so much work and you wouldn't make any money off it. So you're like, oh, get this pasta because it's heavier, and then they couldn't get more. So that and the Alfredo sauce. It's a trick to the trade if you work at Olive Garden.
The Alfredo sauce because it's heavier because it's salty and makes you drink.
No, they don't. No one drinks at Olive Garden.
I go there a couple times.
Yeah, for the free wine samples.
Yeah,
the Bellinis.
No
salad and breadsticks, dude.
Yeah,
that salad slams. I don't care.
Oh yeah,
that salad dressing they make.
You can buy it at the supermarket.
Can you?
Yeah, it's the best.
What the fuck? I didn't know that.
And it's keto friendly, buddy.
All right, next question.
All right, next question.
No, I want to talk.
Is Olive Garden dressing keto friendly? Wow, what a no. This is Andrea Boychuk. What platforms do you find most successful for hiring?
Soapboxes. Let's get them on there. Town criers are the best employees. No, I don't know.
You got a good point. It's word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's all word of mouth. It's the best because you're going to get somebody who knows somebody. You're a little more confident hiring that person because they were recommended rather than going on Indeed or Monster or whatever they have out there now.
I would definitely
Even
look.
Facebook.
Yeah, especially like your good workers.
Even
You know,
Facebook.
yeah.
See, that works for here, but like in the city, that doesn't work. Like you need to do branch out more. Like we use Indeed and Craigslist. Don't use Craigslist. You get all the weirdos on that. But I think like because we've had a lot of people like, oh, this is my friend, and they suck. So I think it depends on the pool you're pulling from.
I also say too, if you have the same staff for a while, like you eventually that dries up. So the situation I've run into, if I've retained a lot of people, and that's great, that's an awesome thing. And anytime I need to add somebody, because somebody grows up and like goes to college or whatever, so I'll lose somebody, I go back to my own staff and say, hey, do you know anybody? Because they're not going to refer somebody that they don't want to work with,
Right.
or someone that's going to make them look bad. But eventually that dries out. There's only so many cousins that are within 2 years age of them that work at another restaurant before and blah, 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 blah. And even on experience, we don't necessarily hire from experience either. But even then, that dries up. So I've referred to Facebook jobs because instead of posting on Indeed, it's almost like the second version of going through your staff. You post it on Facebook, but you're friends with all your staff members so they can share it and they might reach somebody that they didn't even think of. So that's how.
Or that kind of that Facebook friend where you know the person, but you're not like you don't hang out with them. And,
Right.
No, I find that if you put it on Facebook, you get the same 5 people that apply right away.
Oh,
So
we
it
know
must be
exactly.
It must be on some sort of,
Couple of my former employees.
Yeah. One of Karl's. We won't name names. But they've worked at every restaurant in town. And there's definitely that element as well. But like I said, if your employees just share your job posting and they reach their Facebook circle, or even on Instagram, which isn't necessarily made for that, but you can definitely use that outreach, and that's worked for me. Worked, sort of. There's no easy way, I think. These days, besides,
No, you gotta look at your community too. So use everything.
If you're in the restaurant industry too, Voc Techs. Look at community colleges and vocational technical schools. A lot of kids look at the co-op work. They'll do dishwashing shit, stuff like that. They can every 2 weeks when they're in shop, instead of going to school, they can go to your restaurant. It kind of sucks because their availability isn't quite there, but you might, when they graduate, you might end with them for a couple more years and mold them and make them what you want,
Build
especially in really good places. You know what I mean? Not like pubs like me, but see if that works.
It's a good idea. Karl Jelnick. Yeah, let's go with that. After an employee travels by air, are you having them quarantine or test? And if so, how long are you having them quarantine for? Have you guys had any travelers?
It's not our policy. It's the policy of the state that you're flying either in or out of. So we just follow whatever they do.
Correct.
And it's not us to check that. It's when they do it through the airlines. So it's already done before it actually gets to us.
Right.
The only problem is Massachusetts says that. A lot of people fly out of New Hampshire, and New Hampshire don't give a shit.
Yeah, so say they weren't even flying. Say they were driving to Georgia. I was working for you. I'm like, Karl, I need a week off. I'm going down to Georgia to
looking for a soul to steal
for spring break. I don't know. I would be going to Georgia, and when I come back, and I'll be available Monday.
Okay, so that happened to people. That exact scenario. Friend of the show,
Georgia.
Not Georgia, Colorado. So I said exact.
Not the exact.
Not the exact.
Like not the exact.
The exact. No, Pumpkin, friend of the show,
Yeah.
and I am comfortable saying that because she, was very upfront about her going on this vacation. She told us a month ahead of time. She knew we were apprehensive about bringing her right back when she came back, but she did the right thing. So she drove down to Colorado with a couple friends. They stayed at a house out there, and then they flew back. She got tested the day she got back. She did not come back to work until she got the results of that test, and they were negative. And that was it.
Yeah.
It took 4 days after she got back. She just extended her vacation from 7 days to 10, 11 days, and we were comfortable with that.
If you're a restaurant where a lot of your employees is flying, you're paying them way too much.
No shit.
Well,
But that was the
some restaurants actually pay their
We've
people,
done the
Carl.
same thing too.
Yeah, that's just the best way to do
Some, yeah.
it. Have any of you guys gotten tested yet?
Yep.
For what?
I've not.
COVID.
Oh, no, not for COVID.
Yeah.
I did it for the first time a
I
couple
heard they
weeks
stick
ago.
that thing up to your brain.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
can
wasn't
feel it
that
up
bad.
there.
No?
I didn't think it was that bad.
It wasn't bad. You can feel it for a couple hours after though.
When they
Yeah.
make you press it onto the back of your sinus cavity after the spin.
Oh, you had to
That's
do it
a-
yourself?
Yeah, I had to do it myself.
Oh, I got
did
it.
it in the
I went to a
drive-thru.
better place.
Did you
than
do it the
did.
baby way?
What do you mean?
The baby
What's the
way.
baby
Like
way?
taking your temperature?
What do you mean? Oh.
I don't think you know how respiratory viruses work, Carl.
Wrong cavity.
Oh, gross, dude. Fuck.
I just want to see Carl go through the drive-through testing and
like, I'm
drop
ready.
trout, stick his ass out the window.
I'll tell you what, the worst part, the most painful part was I was sitting in my car for 2.5 hours in line at a CVS waiting.
Yeah.
So even though I booked it online, I booked it for 10:30.
Yeah.
Drove up. The only place that was available was West Bridgewater. And I was just being cautious because it was like a third person removed from the Speedwell staff who had tested positive. And like we were all like, oh shit, like we can't have a breakout of Speedwell. Like I'm talking about person to a person to a person that had tested positive with COVID-19. But just to be safe, I live with 2 senior citizens. I went 2.5 hours. I had to sit in line. So even if you book it online and like they're like, yeah, 10:30, come in. It only takes 10 minutes. They could be behind. Like,
And how long till you get the results?
they told me 3 to 6 days, but it only took 3, so it wasn't bad. When I went home, I wore a mask. I slept in a separate room. I didn't sleep in the same room. I didn't pick my kid up or anything like that for 4 days. I was just being really cautious. Quarantined at home. Wore a mask at work and stuff like that, and there was no risk. I knew I didn't have it, but it was just more for peace of mind. But it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. Again, just be wary of the schedule. I'll get it done at your PCP's office if that's available because it's probably quicker. But yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think part of it is not working every day. So I have not had, knock on wood, as best of my knowledge, I haven't come into contact with
No
anyone.
hitting the table.
No, we always said if you say knock on wood, it counts. No, but yeah, I have no direct connection that has come down with it. So I've been really lucky. So
Fingers crossed, man.
yeah, that's now that I say that.
Carl's gonna sneeze on you.
I know, right? The amount of things I'll catch from Carl. Though.
COVID's not going to be the worst thing.
He's got that old world shit.
Do you generally charge sorry, this is from motherfuck me. Eric Simboris. Do you generally charge an automatic gratuity for catering orders? If so, how much? My crew worked hard to get a $1,000 order out during a lunch service and only got a $20 tip.
That's fucked up.
That's a great question, and I just did one the other day.
Did you put an automatic gratuity in?
Nope. So if I know the person, I'm just like, whatever. And then I add. So if I know the person, they're usually decent. When I give them their invoice, because I don't do a regular receipt and run their credit card, I do an invoice for a catering order so they can see exactly the breakdown of where the money's going. And at the bottom, I put gratuity optional to the kitchen. And I don't think there's been once where the person who got that catering order didn't tip. I think they know we have a small kitchen. They know we're not built for that. We don't have a catering menu, but people like the food and want to do it for birthday parties and stuff like that. When it's not someone I know, 18%, and it goes right to the kitchen. And I make that clear before they put the order. And I say, hey, we have a small kitchen. This is high stress. We're not built for this. We don't have a catering menu. We'll do it for you, but there is an 18% surcharge, so the kitchen guys get a little something from that. And I stick a couple bucks in my pocket too, because what the hell? I have to make the fucking phone.
That's right.
Yeah. I had to make the phone call. So just,
I usually deliver it too.
Yeah.
But
what about you other guys?
We do not put a gratuity on. It will be up to that party to actually tip if they feel necessary.
Same.
But very seldom does it make it to the kitchen.
Yeah, see, it has to make it to the kitchen. For a catering order, the servers and bartenders are doing.
See, now you're catering, and I'm thinking of a party here is what I'm thinking of.
All right, no, I'm saying like
catering.
offsite.
Yeah,
Oh,
we don't do
yeah,
any
yeah.
off-site catering.
No.
Yeah, yours is because you're the back room.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's catering, but you're
catering an
you're
event that's
having the
being
event
held
here.
here,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Do you guys do anything in that, like Dan?
Well, not. I mean, we've done like the big parties and stuff like Karl does. We do some big orders, but not like anything giant. Like I don't think we've done $1,000 one or anything like that. So maybe like a tray of tenders and stuff here and there, but nothing crazy. But we don't do the gratuity.
This is semi-related. It was just making me think of because like you said you deliver, but if they come to pick up, I would tip if I was getting like catering. But if I order, especially pre-COVID, if I order pickup to go, I typically don't tip because I don't think of that as a tipping scenario. Am I the weird person?
No,
We actually did an episode on this. I
we
think.
did. We talked about
Did
it a
we?
lot at the beginning.
To
of
tip or
COVID.
not to tip.
Yeah.
Who was tip, who we didn't tip, why we didn't tip.
Right. And I think we all had different philosophies.
We did.
Yeah.
I think I'm an over tipper, A, because
I've become an over tipper.
I'm insecure. And B, because I came up in the restaurant industry, and I think we all kind of agreed though that we think maybe the tip, if the takeout is ordered and just come in and picked up, and you want a tip, the tip should go to the kitchen, not to the.
Again, I'm not arguing that fact, but if I go to get a $100 pickup order, and I pick it up and I tip 20%, that 20% in my mind goes right to the bartender that all they did was give me the food over the counter.
Right.
Right.
Why-
See,
why
and
am I giving
I
them
think
20
I think
bucks?
that's
Right,
why.
but it's not going to make it to the kitchen.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Unless it's specified for the kitchen, it'll never make the kitchen.
Right. We tried doing
So-
it for a little while.
So that I guess why tip somebody who's not giving you service?
Right.
They're just giving you the meal that you're paying for anyway.
I agree with
So
that.
so yeah, if I guess if it's a situation that you knew it was going to a specific person, specific department or whatever,
Yeah.
you would be more apt to do it. But I think on takeout, like you said, if you just pick it up takeout,
Right.
you're just giving money to the person that just handed
Handing
you
you
food.
food, and that's what I always think.
So maybe with those bigger catering orders, it's not necessarily a gratuity, and maybe I should change that on my invoice. It's just a convenience charge, is what it is. It's we're slowing down our service to the people who are coming into the restaurant enjoying our product for the sake of doing a high volume product for you. So we have to charge you a little extra because you're affecting the flow of my business, and my kitchen guys are working twice as hard for you right now. So it's a convenience charge, and it goes
I feel
to
like
the
the
kitchen.
wording of a convenience charge though sounds like you're telling them they're
and-
inconvenienced.
Right.
I know.
yeah,
Totally.
I would leave it as gratuity
Yeah.
just because.
Yeah, because
yeah.
people are going to say, well, that's why you pay your kitchen people to cook
Yeah.
food.
Yeah.
You're
Like,
paying
oh,
them.
you
You're
can
paying them when
grind
it's really
cheese,
slow.
like when you
Now you
want
can
it.
pay them when they're doubly busy.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So
That's a great point.
yeah, it's. I think you're right. It's the wording that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm
I
not
think you're
saying it's not. They're not worth it. It's
Right.
just. It's because it's so different from what everybody does that a lot of people don't realize what
Yep.
they're doing.
It's true. You're also paying for platters. You're paying for big foil pans.
Well,
packaging.
that you just incur into the costs of your food.
Just call it
Right,
a catering
but
charge.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just unique.
Call it a COVID charge, like everybody else.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody
no
knows what that
shit,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So, Karl, now that you have the Munchie Mobile, do people tip at the Munchie Mobile?
They do. Yep, they do. But we run it a little different than most places do.
So, like they order the food and then they have to
They
pay
order the
extra
food,
to
they
eat
don't-
it?
Nobody comes to the truck except for the servers at. Right now, we're just doing breweries.
Yep.
So the breweries at the servers at the breweries will take their beer and food order.
Yep.
They'll have a menu at the table. The servers will come to the truck, give me the order. I'll take when it's finished. I'll take that food order to the table,
Mm-hmm.
and then cash them out at that table just for the food. But a lot of people, I want to say probably everybody
Yeah.
tips.
I was running food this weekend. No one tipped me. It's fine. That's
Did you pay
fine.
for your food?
Huh?
Pay for your food?
Oh, it wasn't from Karl.
Oh, all right.
I didn't get food until like way
I'm
later.
picky on who I have run my food.
I just took extra bites as I carried their food to them. Carmen
San Diego.
Miranda.
Papanetti.
You said San Diego too. That's hilarious. Freudian Plymouth
Yep.
slip right there.
What do you do about negative online reviews? I feel like we've talked about this a lot.
So we've hammered this one to death. You
Don't-
ignore them.
Ignore them. Don't address them.
Next.
Pitchforks and torches.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
If someone reaches out to you personally and gives a negative review, then you have to address it. If you don't,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
just
absolutely.
a responsible business owner. But if they're
Yeah.
going to passive aggressively attack you on Yelp or Facebook,
Just let it go. Because you're just going to.
fucking.
A different turn to this is I've had to deal with people complaining about our door staff telling them to wear their fucking masks and sit down. And I was
Has
like,
has anyone seen that starting to show up on Yelp and such?
I haven't looked at Yelp ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I don't look anymore.
We don't even know what Yelp is.
yeah, but personally, people have done that, and I'm like, well, they're doing their job. Like, it's not our laws and stuff like that. And call your mayor,
Yeah,
call your governor, or whatever.
Sarah Annis from Mayflower had an issue with this where, and she told me the story twice, but you guys have the outdoor thing. Karl brings his food truck over there, so he's very familiar with the lay of the land over there. But I guess a family came in with kids. The kids were not wearing masks. They were rolling around. Like, we're not talking like 1 and 2 year olds, like, maybe 4 or 5 year olds, rolling around on the ground, disturbing other people's tables, not wearing masks, just kind of running all over the place, getting in the way of people running food. And they did this big outdoor setup over there. And Sarah went up to them and sternly but kindly and politely asked them to make sure their kids continue to sit at the table. They didn't listen. They proceeded to try to break the rules, and they acted like younger than their kids. And then they later went on Facebook and Yelp and left her a personal negative review. And I think they even tried getting in touch with her boss, the owner, Drew,
Yeah.
to kind of fucking get her fired, basically, or get her reprimanded. And all she was doing was trying to make sure they were following the rules so Mayflower didn't get shut back down.
Right.
That's all it is. Like, we don't want you. We don't care. Like, we do care. I don't want to wear a mask either. I don't want you to have to sit
Yeah.
down, but we have to for us to all stay open.
Some people feel entitled. They're not
yeah.
part of the rules. They can do what they want, let their kids do what they want. I mean, it happens in our restaurants. I'll tell people, you got to keep your kids at the table.
Right.
And if they don't, I'll say, okay, guys, you got to corral your kids. And I will come over to the table and say, if the kids aren't sitting, you guys are going to have to leave.
Good for you.
That's it. I mean, it's
we-
black and white.
We were talking.
But if it gets to that point, then you know it's a parent issue. That
Of course.
they
Yeah.
just don't care.
yeah.
And that's where you say, guys, here's your bill, pay it, and you guys got to leave.
And we were talking about it earlier. I feel like there's kind of this, I don't know, because of the way situations are now where, it's not necessarily like, oh, whatever you say, sir, let me get that. It's kind of like, no, these are the rules. Like, these rules are set in stone. If you don't like it, you can leave. And that's not hospitality, but I feel like that is how everyone is addressing it. It's the only way to address it now.
Yeah, we've got an edge. I was saying this to my wife a couple weeks ago. I have a change in personality as far as how I approach. I'm running my restaurant now because I know what it's like to lose it. And I don't
Yeah.
want to go back in timeout. It's like when you
Yep.
get disciplined as a kid for doing the wrong thing. We all saw the lines outside of all of our restaurants on March 16th when we found out that we were going to close on the 17th. It was a big fucking party. It was the last thing Governor Baker wanted to see. And we got punished for that. The whole country got punished for it. But that is the image that is burned in the retinas of all these people who are making the decisions to make sure we get through this safely. And we don't want to go back in timeout. So
And it's like being in timeout because of someone else.
right.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
that kid got us all in trouble, and fuck him.
And how are you going to treat that kid from
Yeah.
now on? If that kid, quote unquote, metaphorically comes into your restaurant and is pissing and moaning about having to wear a mask and constantly bending and breaking the rules, how are you going to treat that kid?
Yeah.
You're out of the fucking circle. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. Get the fuck out of my restaurant.
Yep.
Because I have a kid to feed too, and I'm not dealing with your immature political ass. So get out, go eat at McDonald's.
Yep,
at a
go eat
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yep,
Yeah.
don't care. Don't
Yeah.
need you. Blood money not worth it.
And I gotta say, we ran the first Inebriart event since February last Saturday, and I'm gonna say it's a flat out success. We had almost no one violate the mask policy, and I saw 3 people do it, and like each one was kind of like, okay, someone like took their mask down to smell some sort of product. Okay, that's small potatoes. Whatever. I'm not gonna like bitch. Didn't like when she's done. She put it back on. Then there was like one vendor who officially like, oh, that guy doesn't have his mask on. I looked up, and I'm like, oh, because he just gotten his food, saw a customer, jumped up to help the customer, and I think it was one of those like, oh shit, masks, right? That kind of thing.
Not malicious.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like bust his balls because he sat back down, ate his food, put his mask back on. And then there was one person who was kind of like standing far off by themselves that didn't have their mask on, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna walk 6 feet into their zone to tell them to put a mask on when I'd be the only person in that zone. They're clearly distanced themselves far enough. And that was it. That was the only.
But you know who appreciates if you go up and either kick people out or make them wear a mask is everybody else.
Everybody else in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when those people you ask them to leave, everybody else is relieved.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
mean, the whole place is on your side. It's just there are always going to be that, no matter COVID, not
Yeah.
COVID, there's always going to be that table
That pushes it.
that just pushes it.
They fucking leave the house being like, who can I prove my point to?
That's
today?
correct.
Yeah.
That's
Do
correct.
you think that kind of person pushing the boundaries post COVID is going to be less taken seriously, regardless of what they're pushing?
Yeah, it's a great point. I think, and that's what I was saying about my change in mentality and how I approach people who are not following the rules. Sure, right now it's just COVID rules I'm focused on, but I think after this, I can't wait till after this. But when it comes down to just people like being loud
Or like, oh, come on, I don't have my ID. I'm definitely over 21. Blah, blah,
differently now,
Right,
because you know what? I know I can survive when you shut my restaurant down and cut my capacity in half. I know I can survive that, so I know I don't need you. I
Yeah.
can choose and be more selective about who I want in my restaurant.
There's
because
going to be
I-
someone else to take that person's place. You don't need.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and someone that's going to appreciate what you do and
Yep.
and make your place better and maybe become a regular and part of your circle and your family instead of these assholes that you pretend nice to and give you nothing at the end of the day. There's always the same dickheads that tip 10% or carve their name in your fucking bathroom, or they're all the same assholes.
Danny's talking about you.
He
Hold our shows
doesn't. He doesn't
in
tip
the
10%.
They're all the same.
Firm too. No.
They're all the same. And you know what? You build a restaurant because you want good people to be there. And I think we're figuring out now that we don't need the shitty people.
Yeah.
Yep.
You don't need the people that are going to throw things through your front window.
That's fucking unbelievable.
So this wasn't a question, but I feel like maybe we should take a few minutes to address this.
I don't know much of the story, do you?
I know very little. I know there
Should
was
be a good topic to address.
Well, it's I think it's the people kind of going lax and suddenly becoming like, oh, it's just like how we should be, you know, or whether it's, I don't know. Again, I don't know the person that did it, but
They got him.
they definitely got him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should tell the story.
So basically, what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah,
people don't know what you're talking about.
There was a,
It's a teaser, Karl.
a new local place downtown here, Royal Street Tavern, posted that one night recently. I think it was like a Friday.
Friday or Saturday.
It was a Friday or Saturday.
I wasn't in town. I know.
Someone threw something through their front window. And now my first response was someone was trying to break in. That seems like a really bad way to break in, but it was just someone being malicious. Apparently it was the same person that pulled down Tatum at the craft beer cellar, had some like decorative lights outside to liven up the place. They yanked them down to the point where they ripped the cord.
Unbelievable.
So just some drunken asshole was out of control.
Carl.
Here's the question. But here,
Incredible Hulk, dude.
but
Look, I wasn't drunk.
do you know how high up those lights were? Do you think it is because we have been so restrictive that we kind of forgot that sort of thing happened?
I've never forgot that sort of stuff happens, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's just
Yeah.
been so long that the bars have been and restaurants have been closed, and now people are slowly coming back out. That you're going to see more and
That the
more of
assholes
that.
are coming out,
Yeah,
too,
I
yeah.
mean, you're going to see more and more of that no matter what.
I've
Yeah.
never
So-
seen anything like that. That's fucking ridiculous. Like someone in
You've
the middle.
seen you listen.
Maybe
we've
I have.
we've had it, and yeah,
Maybe I have.
we've all had
There-
it.
there's-
happened at BBC a couple times.
That's right. It's happened
Yeah.
to Main Street. Remember Main
Yeah.
Street side door a couple times.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I had someone sneak into Speedwell and take a dump on my floor overnight once.
Fish.
So that's a real thing, and I think it was a homeless person. But yeah, all right. I guess you're right. Absolutely. It's
So
just-
and to me, it's like people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this." I'm like, I feel like that's a sign of things returning to normal. As much as that's a terrible thing, there are always going to be assholes.
I think there's an element
Huh.
of anarchy a little bit too with all this. Like a lot of people are just desperate and fucking crazy and losing their
Oh,
minds.
people
too,
are
so.
super like short
Yeah.
views. Yeah, definitely. And then you add booze in it, and suddenly it's totally different.
I can't believe that happened. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Sunny Rose. Sounds like a stripper. Sorry, Sonny. Need some advice. I work at a corporate restaurant. My new supervisor changed our regular schedule. I work 3 days as closer of the restaurant, 2 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., then scheduled me as opener, 10 a.m. the next day. My 5th day is closer again. I feel like I got off a bad roller coaster on my 5th day. I mean, this kind of goes on. So basically, she's closing at 1:30 and then opening at 10 a.m., and kind of wants some advice on how to address it with her supervisor.
Suck it up.
Yeah, you either suck it up or tell your supervisor you can't do a shift or two, but then they're just going to say it's somebody else that could.
Right. It's up to you whether
Yeah,
you think it's worth it.
you're right. If it's worth jeopardizing your position because that's the shifts that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been agreed to beforehand. Now, if it's just a scheduled shift that changes all the time, you can say, hey, listen, I just can't do it. My body can't function that way.
Yeah.
Then they'll change it. But if you don't say anything, they're not going to know. They're just going to keep on abusing you.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's your regular scheduled shift, then you agreed to it in the first place.
Well, you know what shift you're going to lose if you say something.
You're gonna lose
It's
the
that
night shift.
You're going to lose the night
That's right.
You're
shift.
gonna lose
Yeah.
that night shift. And, I don't know. It's an 8-hour gap, take out commute, 7 hours. I mean, you can get a good, 6.5, 7 hours of sleep, come back the next day and it's just a day shift and it's more chill and low key. I maybe it's just because I came up doing this that I don't really have sympathy for that. Like, I've slept on the floor at fucking Speedwell before. I've done quadruples.
So was an Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your employees
Slept or
don't have
passed
that.
out.
Your employees don't have that.
Yeah.
They can't sleep at the floor in the
No.
No, I understand. And that's another extreme.
Right,
I'm just
so
saying,
you gotta-
in reference to my lack of sympathy to the schedule, that's what I'm saying is maybe I'm wired differently. But I don't think that's a big deal is going home, falling asleep at 2 a.m. and waking up the next morning.
Well, their shift ends at 2. Maybe they live an hour away.
It ends at 1:30.
1:30. So
if
they
it's an hour away, then find a restaurant close to your house. You know what I mean?
And-
That's a little different.
And this is the thing, and this happened to me personally, where I was hired for a specific shift, and then they started changing the shift. You need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart with yourself and be like, is this what I'm willing to do?
Right.
And you then need to say, I'm not willing to do this, and suffer whatever repercussions may come from it. And if it's still a line in the sand, then find another job.
Correct.
I
agree.
I worked middle management for a retail company, and they were like, you have to work 1 overnight a quarter. And I said, that's not what I'm, hired for. And they said, no, this is new. This is how it's going to be done. I worked come 3:30 in the morning, just junk. I'm useless. Like, I'm not there to, not helpful to anybody. So then I'm like, I'm not doing it. They're like, we're going to write you up. I said, you got to do what you got to do. And long story short, I ended up leaving the company because I'm just like, it's not for me.
It's a big part of this industry is always biting off more than you can chew. Everyone thinks you can work those 18-hour days and then go work another 10 the next day, but eventually your body says no. So
yeah, so
I said take a long look at it, and if it's worth it.
Yeah,
I also have no idea what this question was because I wasn't here. So.
You actually answered it very
yeah. That's pretty much
Context clues.
Jeremy Babs. What are you doing to save on costs right now? Limited menu, any ideas? Greatly appreciated. So have you limited your menu? Have you changed the way you're doing business to
We recycle the food you don't eat, we give it to someone else.
just give it to someone else?
Yeah.
So that order of fries just keeps
Yeah, you didn't eat that.
there's 7 fries
Now I
that are
have to
still
pay the
good.
dishwasher a lot more because he doesn't get 7 meals a day.
He's no longer the dishwasher, he's the food separator. The new prep guy.
I mean, the best thing you can do is cut costs. So find out where you can cut them and cut them. And cut them deeper than you think because you can always survive and you can always get somebody back in. But you'll be surprised at how you can survive when you cut.
When you need to.
Yep, when you need to.
Yep.
I raised prices too.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yep, raise prices.
Like I said, more costs in paper products, sanitary products, hand sanitizer, all that stuff now. So that has to go
The cost
somewhere.
of beef, like
Beef, forget about
Like,
beef.
coming back.
Try buying
Yeah,
gloves.
yeah.
Yes.
Try
Chicken.
buying gloves.
Yeah.
Gloves
yeah.
is where that's the big one, Karl.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just an incurred cost. I mean, we're spending probably $250 a week on gloves.
It's insane.
We even look what like paper masks went for
$30
too.
Yeah.
So you gotta make that cost back from somehow. And like I say, there's only two things you can do. You can either cut costs or increase prices.
And you're not
There's
selling
nothing
gloves.
else.
You're not selling them. You're just
Right.
wearing them
Nope.
and throwing
Yeah.
them away.
You
That's
have
not
to.
something you're
Yeah.
making money off of. So it's not like you can. That's just a dry cost that just comes off the top.
And then I can see it from here. This hand sanitizer, like
Yeah.
that's not something everywhere had available prior to this, but now every place you go has a pump jar of hand sanitizer. It's not free.
And we started with. I started with disposable silverware. Instead of so we used to have ketchup bottles, salt and peppers on every table. You can't do that anymore because they don't want people exchanging the same things from different parties.
Yep.
So now it's ketchup packets, it's mustard packets, it's Tabasco, it's salt and pepper in a thing. We're going back to rolling our own silverware, but we're making all that shit.
So what do you
costs
do?
money.
So what do you do? I think that's what his question is. What do they
You got to
do?
raise prices because now the cost of doing business for you has gone up, and that has to get passed down. I'm not saying dollar for dollar on the ratio. You have to eat some of that because that's just how it goes. But going out to eat is a luxury. It's not a necessity, even though we've been called a necessary business. I hope Charlie Baker's not listening. But,
Number
we're a
one
luxury.
fan.
So if people can afford to go out to eat, then they should be able to understand that they got to incur the costs. And right now, the price of paying poker has gone up. And if you want to feel safe, and we want you to feel safe, it's going to cost more money to do that. We're under a lot more pressure and restriction now than we used to be. And in order to...
There's a lot more costs than there used to be.
And that's out of our control. We're being told we have to do this. It's not like we're deciding to do this and being like, well, we decided we want salt and pepper packets now. So now you have to pay for it. No, we're being told we have to do it. So
Well, let me ask: is there anything that you've cut or changed that you're like, oh shit, why didn't we do this before?
steak. I took steak off the menu.
Yeah.
Celery with the wings. We never charged for that. Half the time it came back and went right in the trash barrel. We were going through 3 cases of celery a week. Celery's cheap, but that's something you're not making money on, and not one, maybe one person has asked for celery since we reopened 4 months ago. And even when we're doing takeout, we never put celery because it got all hot and mushy and gross anyway. So we're doing more takeout than we ever have. So celery and steak tripled in price at one point.
Oh, it was insane. Yeah. I made chili the other day because I went grocery shopping. And I'm like, oh, that's actually a reasonable price for ground beef.
Back to earth, which is kind of nice. And there's a lot of frozen stuff that's out there too, which we don't usually mess with. But right now, it's different times. You have, like Karl said, you got to cut your costs where you can.
Yeah.
No one's complained that their burgers tasted different because it was frozen for a week. It's still really good beef. It's fine. So yeah, we took steak off the menu too, and bringing in all these new kitchen people and stuff and not having to tell them how to temp steak has been kind of nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're ever going to go back to doing it. Like, we're a wing and burger place. Let's just stick with that. Maybe we were doing too much before this,
And then you run them on special and you sell them out real quick.
Correct.
Yeah.
Put it in an egg roll, baby.
Yep.
Carl, did you change your menu at all?
Oh yeah, we cut our menu way back. We're slowly adding to it now.
Yeah.
But when we first opened for COVID, I'd say it was probably half the menu that it was.
And are there things where you're like, oh, fuck that, we're not bringing it back? That either didn't sell?
If it didn't sell, I'm not going to bring it back.
Yeah.
And you can find things that are selling now that haven't sold before, and you just, expand on what's selling. So it's always morphing. It always was morphing.
Yeah.
But it's always morphing now to what can we do with the product that we have, and what can we offer the customers that are coming in so that they want to keep coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just say, all I have is French fries. I mean, people aren't going to come.
Right.
True.
Yep. So you really have to have some kind of variety, but it's what you can do with the least amount that you can do it with.
Well, I think you and Jordan are like really good examples of you have the things that you're known for that you tweak. Like Karl, you got the pretzels, Jordan, you have wings and egg rolls, and it's like it's endlessly tweakable, but it's always kind of the same basic stuff. Mm-hmm. So maybe for a week you buy that steak or whatever, but you're always
cheap.
Yeah, so like
a lot of casserole and pulled pork egg rolls going on.
So you can kind of look at it and be like, okay, what's cheap this week that I can make special? And I think that's a huge advantage.
And you don't feel like you're serving garbage because people aren't necessarily, they can make chicken wings at home. They can make burgers at home. They want your burger. They want your chicken wings. They want your pulled pork. So
or your stuffed pretzel, Car.
Your stuffed pretzel.
Yeah.
Right.
See how he's only advertising himself over there? One-way street.
necessarily not isn't what they're paying for isn't the hard cost of the ingredients of your item. It's what you're doing with that item is what they're paying for. Your experience, your interpretation of how it should taste. It's different from what they would do at home for themselves. So I think at the end of the day, you got to keep that in mind. Be confident in your product and your ability to make it taste good and sell that. Who cares if it's pork this time or
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, we've all gone home and tried to recreate our favorite dish from a restaurant and failed miserably. So
unless it was the Olive Garden dressing.
you don't have to recreate that shit. Let's go buy it.
So with that, we're going to do last call where Dan Mahoney shouts out the Olive Garden restaurant. This is a point where we go around.
What's up, all things Plymouth?
We can promote whatever we want. So I'm going to put him on the spot. Jordan, you're up.
All right. Jordan Shabbat, Speedwell Tavern. We started this podcast talking a lot about the holidays, and Karl made a great point. People probably aren't going to be donating a lot this year. Toys for Tots, things like that are going to really be hurting. But keep in the back of your mind, even if you don't donate a lot, food pantries, things like that, there are a lot of people suffering a lot more than we are through this COVID thing. So try to keep in mind a lot of those places need help more now than ever. South Shore Community Action Council, the Plymouth Area Coalition for the Homeless, if you're from our area, but bigger ones like Toys for Tots and things like that. There are a lot of kids out there that aren't going to be getting things for Christmas this year. So keep that in mind. Something stupid, $20 little toy, drop in a box, or a couple canned goods when you're at the store that you find on the sale rack. Microsoft's down 3 points. And try to donate this season. Don't let it take away from helping each other out because we're all in a tough spot.
Dan Mahoney.
I want to shout out all these restaurants, and you guys especially, that change your menu up and kind of really focus on the food. I went to Main Street Sports, who a friend of the show, for dinner the other night, and their food was awesome. And that's not a place. They're like us, like Stats. Like
Me and Karl grabbed a pizza there the other day.
Yeah, their food, they really revamped their kitchen, and for a place that's known on booze, their food's awesome. Same thing, Sukasa did a really good job. Speedwell, New Worlds. Karl's Munchie Wagon is feeding all the drunk kids at Mayflower now. So
shout out Adam Russell at Main Street Sports, dude. Guy's a DJ, was a bartender, now he's running that kitchen.
Yeah, if you don't follow him on Instagram or anything like that, if you're not hungry yet, go check out his pictures and you'll see it. So definitely go give someone a new try.
Karl?
All right, I want to give a little comment to all the owners and workers out there in the industry that keep plugging. This isn't going to last forever. It might last a long while, but it's not going to last forever. So whatever you're doing, if it's working, keep it. If it's not, change it, because people will appreciate it.
Karl's COVID clock says 67 more days, 12 hours,
Yep,
21
we got
minutes.
a COVID countdown.
I never noticed that till right now.
It's 67 days until he resets the clock.
What is the day? Is that's St. Patrick's Day?
You'll find out when it comes.
Jesus Christ, I'm nervous.
So that's to me. I'm actually going to shout out the Greyhound Pub in Bridgewater. Someone sent me a photo of their staff rocking a Bartok mask, so it was kind of cool to see Bartok merch out in the wild. So shout out to you guys. Thanks for listening, and thanks for supporting the show. And so this is Bartok. You can find us on all the social medias at BartokCast. You can email your questions, complaints, ask Karl where he gets his Hawaiian shirts at bartokcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and I think that's it.
Peace.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. You can find us on all social medias at Inebriart or on Instagram at Inebriart6. You can email us at inebriart@yahoo.com. And make sure you listen to the other podcasts on the Inebriart Podcast Network, including Bar Talk, Old Colony Cast, Retro Redoctopus, America's Hometown Horror Podcast, and our newest one, Theme Park Legends, a podcast about working at theme parks. What else? And we'll catch you again next time.